Oilers fans, Habs fans, please don't hate me for making this video. This is just something I had in my bookmarks for about a month now, and only really had the chance of coming around to it today, so big apologies to anybody who's going to get pissed off at me for saying this, but we're going to try to explore everything in a somewhat rational kind of way, because this is kind of ridiculous, this entire idea we're talking about in this video, so before we get underway with that, this video is currently being recorded. It is February 11th, the night of 10:51 p.m., and yeah, I'm pre-recording this because I'm not going to be at home at the proper time to actually make the video and upload it at 3 p.m. PST tomorrow, February 12th, Saturday, so I'm doing this the night before. If anything else comes out, then I apologize if we're not able to cover it, but this topic is about a month old, so I don't really think there's too much to add. Let's go over onto an article published by the Calgary Herald from, when is this? January? I'll be honest, the reason I know about this article, and by article I mean like column because it's technically published in a newspaper, so it's not really an article per se, but this entire piece was summarized on the January 8th, 2022 edition of Spectors Hockey, and in it they included a link to what looks to be an email newsletter that is published by the Calgary Herald themselves. There's no date on the thing, but it is published in a way that you can view it on your browser, so I'll go ahead and leave a link in the description to both the Spectors Hockey piece as well as the Calgary Herald link. Could Carey Price solve the Edmonton Oilers' problems? Now, this is an idea that has not really been too new to a lot of Canadiens fans. We've spoken about Carey Price to different teams, and Edmonton has been one of them, but either way, this article brings up a very interesting idea. First off, a disclaimer. The writer does not think Carey Price will get traded to the Oilers before the April 12th trade deadline. That should say March 21st, I believe. Honestly, I'd be shocked if he goes anywhere before the summer. The contract is simply too massive to move in season. Finding a team that can take on his $10.5 million AAV salary or send back the necessary pieces in order to match is next to impossible. Even if you could do it, there's the fact that Price hasn't played since Game 5 of the finals, and that should scare away any potential bidders. This article is from January. That fact still remains true. That being said, the writer of this piece is not ruling out the idea of a Price trade completely. After all, something needs to be done in Edmonton. By the way, Oilers yesterday finally got themselves a win. McDavid, points galore, a multi-point game for the guy. The first time in like 6 games or whatever it is, he's got multiple points. And that's kind of funny because for McDavid standards, that's not great. So he's breaking out of a slump. We saw the Oilers take on the Islanders and actually win. Puljujarvi scored a goal. We'll get to more about him later. This is what the article goes over. After all, if you think the Oilers are going to win a Stanley Cup, much less make the playoffs with a tandem of Smith and Koskinen, then you're fooling yourself. Then again, if you think the Oilers' issues are only in net, then you also haven't been paying close attention. The Herald article then goes over and just summarizes what's going on with the team, how Ken Holland hasn't really done too much, how Draisaitl and McDavid are doing really well, and how they can't really waste their heart, and Art Ross potential on a team like this that's not really doing too much, it's mediocre and all that. That's where Price comes in. He represents a shortcut. The kind of player who can single-handedly carry the defense in the same way that McDavid and Draisaitl have carried the offense. He is special. Trading for him would be a gamble because he hasn't played in a long time. This could be worse than the Taylor Hall for Adam Larson trade if it doesn't work, but when you have 2 of the best players in the league and nothing to show for it, then you owe it to them and to the fans to swing for the fences every now and then. In other words, there are some risks worth taking, and this is one of them. Here's how it could work. The Calgary Herald newspaper piece goes over. Edmonton could trade Mikko Koskinen, Jesse Puljujarvi, Dylan Holloway, and or a 2022 first-round draft pick in exchange for Price, with Montreal agreeing to retain half of his salary. Price would obviously have to waive his no-move clause to make it happen, but with the Habs heading towards a rebuild, it's unlikely the 34-year-old would want to stick around for the final 5 years of his deal. There also is indeed another option available. There's Jake Allen, Chris Driedger, Korpisalo, yada yada yada, but this is the one I wanted to focus on. Carey Price, 50% salary retained, for Mikko Koskinen, Jesse Puljujarvi, and Dylan Holloway, as well as a first-round pick. So yeah, that's a pretty beefy package, and I want to just say right off the bat, before we dissect any of these players, Canadiens fans, first instinct, Carey Price 50% retained for this package. Would you do it, yes or no? Tell me in the comments what your opinion is immediately after seeing this idea pop up. Because I'm going to be honest, when I think about Carey Price and I think about what he means, you know, what does he mean to the Canadiens? He represents an entire generation's worth of goaltending that is going to be very difficult to go out there and replicate. Like, how many goaltenders win the Hart and Lindsay Awards on teams that are not really like super top of the league powerhouses like Carey Price did? Carey Price was one of the most consistent and stable goaltenders for the latter part of the past decade and a half, pretty much, that he does mean a lot. It's just, right now, and heading into the next few years of Canadiens hockey, how much does that really matter? Does Carey Price and his impact on the Canadiens today really change much? Does Carey Price's body of work really change where the Canadiens are going to go next year? Or the year after that? Probably not. The Canadiens are going to trade away guys. We know that guys like Petrie and Gallagher have sort of been discussed, and then you have Coronato, who is pretty much inevitably going to be moved. Petrie might be in that conversation too. You got a lot of players who are indeed touchable on this roster. You don't have too many untouchables now, don't you? And so, Carey Price being one of these guys, he is the most expensive, and he is the most burdensome in terms of the financial aspect of it. He's making $10 million a year, and it's going on for an extraordinarily long amount of time. 50% retained of Carey Price is $5.25 million a year until 2026, which makes things a lot better, but there still is the added risk of, okay, this guy hasn't played in so long. What exactly is there to make you believe that he's going to be as good as he should be when he comes back? And pretty much the only thing that could go out there and justify that idea is if you believe that Carey Price can be Carey Price, which is kind of what a lot of people have been saying about Jeff Petrie. Okay, you need to believe that Jeff Petrie is going to be Jeff Petrie if you trade for him, because you're not giving up value for Jeff Petrie of this year, you're giving up value for Jeff Petrie of the past 4 years and a bit. So Carey Price kind of has to be in the same territory. You're not trading for the Carey Price of today, you're trading for Carey Price because it's Carey Price. And so this package of Koskinen coming back to balance out the scales in the goaltending aspect, you have Puljujarvi to maybe add on a little bit more value there, Dylan Holloway to boost up the prospect pool, and then a first-round pick as well. My goodness, this is a slam dunk hell yes for the Montreal Canadiens should this be offered. But the Oilers are not going to offer this. No way. No way. They're trading for a goaltender, and what they're trying to do is they're trying to give up a third or a second or a late round pick. We've seen all the NHL insiders come out there with the hypothetical trade ideas that the Oilers could have been floating around there. Ville Husso, you have Martin Jones, you have late round picks and all that stuff. These are the guys that the Oilers are targeting. The Marc-Andre Fleury's, the Korpisalo's, the, I don't know, other guys like the Braden Holtby's and I guess the Carey Prices. These guys are pretty expensive compared to Martin Jones and Husso and all that. And that's kind of why the Oilers are treading water in that territory where it's like, okay, we want to make a goaltending change. We want to add on some more goaltending depth. But are we really sacrificing Dylan Holloway and a first-round pick and Puljujarvi to do that? I don't really know if that's the move, man. So this writer from the Calgary Herald goes out there and drops this bombshell, and I read and I'm like, okay, if this goes through, if this is the kind of thing that even gets offered remotely, Kent Hughes, you have to go out there and say yes. Like, the amount of value you're getting for Carey Price is immaculate. This guy almost got lost for free in the expansion draft. That was a possibility, and now people are proposing extraordinarily crazy trade packages like this. In my opinion, based off of what I know about the NHL and the way it works and, you know, timelines, guys being older, guys costing a lot of money, I thought that Carey Price was a negative asset. That trading this guy away would actually be a little bit more challenging for the opposite team. Sure, you have to believe that you're getting a good player, which is why he would even be available in the first place and why anybody would want to trade for him, but it's so difficult to try to think about a Carey Price trade that makes sense on paper and that makes sense in the accounting book as well. So this idea, even though it might work financially, Montreal Canadiens retain $5.25 million, whatever, and you add on Koskinen, that's $4-something million, you add on Puljujarvi, that's another $1 million, there you go, it's balanced out. It works financially, but you're adding on a first and Holloway? That's insane, dude. Absolutely insane. The link will be in the description to the Calgary Herald. Oh man, I almost said article again, but I don't really think it's an article, right? It was published in the newspaper and then published on a newsletter. Just the write-up, I guess, as well as Spectre's Hockey, where I initially found this. If you're an Oilers fan, let me know in the comments how aggravating is this trade idea that somebody from Calgary is going out there and writing about your team in this way. Again, it's from a month ago, so I apologize for that, but let me know in the comments either way what you think. As for the Habs fan base, Same thing as always, let me know in the comments all your thoughts. Would you trade Price for this kind of stuff? And if it's not really this kind of stuff that floats your boat, what would you want instead? I hope you enjoyed this video, and bye.